I was gonna go live at 8, but it might be like 7:57. Oh well, it's time to chat. Game of Inches. My reaction to the 5 videos that are up. There are 5 videos, not 6. So I'm gonna go over that. I guess at the end. I'll start with Jay Seaman's video because I'm guessing Jay was the driving force behind Game of Inches, and he explained it the best at the start of his video. But he's part of Catch and Cook, Jay and Josh, and for his team, they explained when this was happening. Now, they filmed this Game of Inches in March of last season. Well, this year, March 2022. That's when this was filmed. I believe at the start of his video, he said it was March 19th, and then they were going to fish for 5 days. So they fished on March 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And they're all in Canada, so there's still, it was late ice fishing. That's when Game of Inches was filmed. And I'll just go over all the contestants and how they did. And, you know, if you're watching or listening live, you can, you know, shoot me a question and I should see it up there and we'll chat. But I took notes on all of it. I'm a teacher, by the way, so, you know, that's what I did so I could go over it. Anyways, I'll go over Jay Seamans first. He was with Josh, their team Catch and Cook. They detailed the show at the start, and their goal was 180 inches because there's 7 different species of fish that they can catch, and they said 200 would probably win it. So that gives you a good base point, I guess you could say, what they're shooting for. Now, there's 7 different categories of fish that they could catch. Trout, that being like splake, brown, rainbow. Then there's the pike muskie point. There's crappie / perch. They call it the panfish point. There's lake trout, burbot, walleye, whitefish / tulipy. Each fishing day is 13 and a half hours of fishing, and they're going to do that 5 days in a row. That's insane. They're going to be gassed by the end of it. They went after splake right away. They went for the stocked trout point right away, and they were just hammering stuff. What I mean by that is they're just catching splake after splake after splake on the stacked trout, and they ended up going from 14 and a half, or no, 13 and a half, no, yeah, 14 and a half was their first one, and then 21 and a quarter, and they ended up with a 22-inch stocked trout. And Jay's partner, Josh, is a confident one. I remember him saying, Jay is saying all this nice to be in a competition and, you know, and all that stuff. And Josh is like, somebody else is going to lose, or somebody's got to lose. So, also, it was like they were setting up the jaw jacker right away. I mean, these are the fishing days you dream about. They couldn't even set the jaw jacker up. They just kept getting bites before they could even really set it. And then they'd have bam, fish on, bam, fish on, bam, fish on. The funniest thing is in the whole video is when Jay broke his bump board. He didn't set it down gently. I'll tell you that. They show the highlight when he sets it down and it shatters. I hope the bump board's still legal if he could piece it together, but it was not set down gently. It wasn't like he slammed it, but you know, if he catches anything over 30 inches, I wonder if there's going to be some arguments if this comes down to the wire, to the quarter of an inch. So anyways, their first fish, they got 22 inches for the trout category. And then they got a 12-inch crappie off the bat when they switched it. You know, so they were messing around with that. And then they ended up with a 23 and a quarter inch pike, which was a little bonus. And then this leads to my foreshadowing at the end of his video. Jay says, and whatever Aaron's got, if he ever checks in, because Uncut Angling's one of the teams. So that's my review for Jay. I thought he did really well on his first day. I'm worried about that trout point, just not because that's a good trout, but I mean, I've seen the fishing geeks catch a 37-inch brown trout before. So that's a difference of, what, 15 inches? I don't think they're going to catch something that crazy big again like they did on 39 hours, but that's a lot of inches to make up on that point. So there's my review for Jay. They had a good first day, Jay and Josh, for what they were targeting. All right, let's go with a sneaky good one, Alec Perrick, who is with Andrew Walker. And here's why Perrick did super well. By the way, if you tried to watch this video, it was down for a little bit, but then he put it back up. So his video is up. There was some confusion about his. If you haven't watched his, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil things, but his video's back up. He's part of AP Basson, and Cast and Conquer is, I believe, Andrew Walker's YouTube. And the first thing it starts with is Perrick taking a slush bath at the start. I mean, he's one to entertain. I will give you that. But this is the thing that they did that was genius. They targeted muskies. They were in Quebec, and well, muskies just get longer than pike. They just do. So, you know, you catch a monster pike and you'll be like 42, and they caught a very nice muskie, which was 45 inches. So that was a huge thing. I think that was a huge catch for Perrick's team. And they also was a go to the bathroom part with Perrick that might not be safe for work. I don't advise watching Perrick's Game of Inches episode at work, by the way. But yeah, that 45 and a quarter inch muskie was big. Andrew Walker was saying that he had it dialed in the day before, you know, or they'd been fishing this area, and then he was right, man. They slammed one. So they also got a 19 and a half inch walleye, which, I mean, I'm guessing somebody might catch a 30-incher in this tournament. So they probably will want to upgrade, but you know, it was impressive. That muskie was a huge thing. I don't see anybody else getting a longer pike and or muskie in this tournament than that. So that was a huge, sneaky good catch. I don't know what's going to happen next with them, but they had a very good day because of that one fish. All right, next up. Oh, these are my kids right now. We can go over the next one. All right, thanks, Nick. The next one I'll talk about is the Fishing Geeks. The Fishing Geeks are, if you didn't know that, they're twin brothers. They're Conrad brothers. They were in northern Saskatchewan, if you're wondering where they were, and they were targeting lake trout. And it was slushy everywhere. I'm wondering if someone's going to get stuck at some point because they're fishing in March, and if the weather gets warm, there's going to be some travel issues, I think, coming up in the next coming episodes. But they were just, battling that. They started off with a big laker right away, 32 and a quarter inch on this like small swim bait. If you go to like Walmart and you find like a 2-inch swim bait thing, that's what they ended up using to catch a nice laker on. And they were fishing in deep water. And then they caught a huge laker, 38 and a quarter inches. And I don't even know which one of the twins caught it, but the one that pulled it out of the hole was holding it. And then the other twin's like, give me my laker, or give me my fish. So he could pose with it. But honestly, I couldn't tell which one was which. You know, I don't even know which one of the Conrad brothers has the world records. They have two, by the way. They have a world record for rainbow trout and burbot. Yeah. And speaking of burbot, that's what they targeted after that. They had, by the way, a 55-kilometer snowmobile ride to get to where they were. I mean, this is the same group that flew by plane from Cree Lake for the 39-hour second season. Like, that's where they started, and they caught a mega laker there too. So they started off with a bang with that 38 and a quarter inch laker. I don't know if anybody's going to beat that point. Well, it's not a point. I shouldn't say that, but no one's going to get more inches for that category, I think, than them. And then they ended up with a 28-inch burbot and called it their starter fish, which I think is insane. So those were the two species that they targeted, and they did really well on their episode. The twins are just fun to watch fish, and they're so good. The Fishing Geeks are good. They won the first 39 hours season, And then in the second season, they didn't win, but they caught just an absolute monster brown trout and released it. So they kind of stole the show, even though they didn't win the second 39 hours. So they are crushing it. Next up, I'm going to go over fish frostbite. So this is the fourth team I'm talking about. And for fish frostbite, that's Joe Cooper and Dave Winters. The filming on theirs was amazing. If you haven't watched the fish frostbite episode because you don't know these guys, it's worth a watch. And the cinematography was well. I think they hired a cameraman for their episode, but it looked cool. The editing was cool. It was a cool video to watch. Now they wanted to start with lake trout, and then a dog peed on their equipment. That was fun. The line wrap when fish was chasing on their electronics, that didn't help with Joe. He also went over a ramen recipe, which I totally didn't understand. So it's not like I really want to eat ramen though, so I don't know what was going with that. And then they ended up catching their first fish was a smallmouth bass, and that doesn't count for the panfish point, so that didn't count for anything. Now, I just kind of wonder like how they gotta win with a guy named Dave Winters on their team, wouldn't you think? I mean, Dave, great name by the way, but then the last name Winters. I mean, come on. They ended up catching a tulipy, or a whitefish tulipy. That's the category it's in. 15 and a quarter. I know you can get a lot bigger than that. I'm guessing somebody's going to get a whitefish over 20 inches. They also got a pike at 24 and a half inches. And, I don't know if Joe Cooper is just that funny or if he's mentally unstable, but he's fun to watch. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed the Fish Frostbite channel's video. I don't think they had that great of a day to start off, but they were entertaining. That was a fun watch. So if you haven't watched their video for this, you should. And then I'll end with Clayton Schick. Clayton Schick Outdoors, his teammate was Adam, and they said they were fishing to beat the geeks. So I'm assuming that Clayton considers them to be their competition. Now, Clayton has been around this world for a while, but he wasn't ever in the 39-hour competition at all. So he's new to this. He did a lot of stuff in the past, what I would call Jay versus Clay, where it was a similar concept to these videos. You should watch those too, where Jay Siemens and Clayton Schick would upload a video at the same time where they were targeting walleye on the open water. And it could be like the biggest walleye or the most walleye in a set number of time. But I think this show, Game of Inches, is kind of like a combination of some of the ideas from 39 Hours and then Jay versus Clay. Instead, it's just total inches of these 7 categories. And I think that's kind of where the idea came from, is kind of merge those two ideas. Anyways, Clayton was not about trying to get the best camera angles. He is totally in tournament fishing mode. And he went after Cisco first. He went from 13 and a 3/4 to 15 and a quarter. Then they caught perch. They had an 8-inch perch. Then they went up to 11-inch perch. And one thing about what Clayton was doing in all of them is the constant update of their own board. This is way different than 39 Hours because it's just their board. They just update how well they are doing in their first day of the tournament. So that was neat to see. What I think is nuts after that is they just hammered pike, like just crushed pike. And they called their first pike that they caught decent. It was 34 and a half inches. That's insane. Like that was a decent pike. Now I don't fish way up in Canada, but 34 and a half is a celebration. And then after they did that, they ended up with a 38 and a quarter inch pike, and the fights were hectic. If you watched it, it was so cool. They've got this hockey stick that basically dislodges things when something's stuck at the bottom of the hole. That's an ingenious invention. Then They went and got burbot. They got a 26 1/4 inch burbot. They ended up with a 90-inch day on the first day. They also caught a tagged pike that they have to report. So it was an interesting day for them. You know, they ended up with the most inches on the first day because they caught a lot of species. And I feel Clayton's stress level a little bit because none of them were like monsters. Like you could just say, all right, I'm done with that species. But they had a really good multi-species day. I still think AP Bassin had the sneaky best day because that pike, man, that's like, I think 5 or 6 inches that a lot of teams are just not going to get. Now, you know, if someone doesn't catch a species of fish, that's going to hurt a ton, and Clayton's got that covered. But as far as, you know, overall, Clayton had the best day, but I think AP Bassin had the sneaky best catch. All right, now let's address the elephant in the room, which is Uncut Angling was supposed to be a part of this, but then they didn't upload. So I just want to go over that. Now, one thing I want to say before this, comparison is the thief of joy. What I mean by that is, I hope people aren't watching these episodes and comparing how these other competitors put their videos together to how Uncut Angling and Aaron Weeb put his videos together, because you know that's the thief of joy. Just enjoy each video for what it is, their channel's video. And then if you enjoy their channel's video, then do a deeper dive and see like the other stuff they produced. I don't know if Joe Cooper has done a lot of other stuff, but I'm going to be looking for wherever he fished because, man, he was entertaining to watch. Speaking of that. Now, I don't know why he didn't upload, but he obviously took part in this tournament because this was in March when they did this. So he fished the 5 days. They wouldn't have had him in all the promo material if he didn't fish the 5 days. You know, I don't get it. He did all the fishing. And I'll be honest, I'm geeked about this kind of stuff. I love fishing and I love editing. If I was invited to be in a tournament and it was in March and then the release date was November 7th, I would have had it done by April. That's just me, you know. I don't know. I feel bad for the parties involved as far as Aaron not being a part of it or Uncut Angling. Number one, he had a partner. I don't even know who his partner is. I wonder what his partner feels about this. Also, his absence hurts all the other anglers. Like, if you ever watched the Jay versus Clay series, they invited Aaron in one of them. And his heart is not in it. I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to make videos anymore and he feels like he's obligated to. I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't try and judge someone's motivations or something like that, but I just feel bad for the other parties involved. Not necessarily me, but there's 5 other teams and then his own partner that trucked all around Canada to ice fish for this show that they released months and months later, and even had it at the Winnipeg Ice Show, and then he doesn't have his video out. That's rough, you know. Now, this is the irony of it, I guess you could say. The thing that I find interesting, if I got into all this 39-hour stuff and whatnot because of the Uncut Angling show, and then Game of Inches is kind of like a spin-off of the Uncut Angling show, but that show started as kind of a response to how he didn't like fishing shows with fake hook sets and all that stuff, so he wanted to make his own fishing show, and it never got really picked up for TV, so he had his own YouTube show, right? But he called it Uncut Angling. You know, just, I'll go out and fish, and I'll film it best I can, and I'll release that video. But all his videos are beautifully edited, usually some high concept, like, you know, he turns a YouTube play button into a fishing lure, a fidget spinner for a lure, or, you know, they carve a circle in the ice and then they make the ice rotate while they fish, you know, crazy stuff with multiple camera angles. And then, like, I see little clips of Weeb complaining on, you know, websites like, just smash upload, you know, and he's wearing a horse head or something like that. And it's like, you're your YouTube channel is called Uncut Angling. All people want to do is see you go fishing. You don't have to hit a grand slam with every video. They just enjoy you fishing and learn from you. So it's odd that he's like went one way and wanted a fishing show that was real and raw, but yet won't release real and raw videos where you don't do as well or something. Now, yeah, he doesn't owe anything to me. He doesn't owe anything to us. I enjoyed the other anglers, and I hope he's okay. I hope it's not some extenuating circumstance that prevents him from uploading it or whatever. I know he ran for office in Canada for something because there's a issue where he didn't want a waterway polluted, which is, you know, an amazing thing to get behind. You know, it's just that, yeah, it's too bad that. It's too bad that they had him on the graphics and all that, and then he wasn't able to put out his videos. So it's too bad. That's all. It's too bad. And that's the last time I'm going to talk about that and when I do a review of something, because I just feel like it's not fair to the other anglers. Let's focus on them. So what do you think is going to happen in week 2? I don't know, but my pick to click now. If AP Bassin has a good second day, dude, that 45-inch muskie, that's like 5 inches that I think other teams are not going to get. That's a huge point. If they can catch a really big laker, I think the other teams are in trouble. Unless the Conrad brothers pull out a 30-some inch brown trout for that trout point. I could see that happening. All right, thanks for watching. See you.